Alright, so we are back now, and we will discuss today about cluster configuration of HySecure server. Okay, so for this particular thing, we need to first log into our HySecure server, and for that we have our server IP over here. We have to select our certificate from drop down, enter our credential to get inside management console, and here we are. Now here our server is already rebooted. So some basic things that we need to have to configure a cluster, we need to just note down those things to check that okay, you have got all those things, so that we can typically ensure that these things we are not going in between that okay, this is not available during the cluster configuration. So cluster configuration should have at least 3 IPs available, uh, and why 3 IPs? So we will mention IP1, which is already assigned to your HySecure server. Assigned to your server. So this has been already assigned to your server, and then I will say IP2. That will be your virtual IP of your cluster, who will be basically getting all traffic and will be doing distribution between your multiple nodes inside the cluster. So this will be the virtual IP of a cluster. These IPs should be in general from same network segment. And then IP3, we can say it as a dummy IP if you are going for one node server, and if you are actually going to add another server, then you have to provide the actual IP. So this will be the second node server IP. So these are very required thing when you are going to perform cluster of the server. So right now I have got IP here 10.0.0.10, and we will go with the cluster IP with 10.0.0.11, and then again we will go with 10.0.0.12. So these are the IPs that I'm going to use during this configuration process. Okay, alright. So before we go and perform all these things, we need to first convert this server into cluster, and for that you have to go on left menu at the bottom, settings, and here you see there is an option cluster. So here I am inside the cluster, and I want to first do configuration, right? So during configuration you will get two options if it is your first node. So first node you can first node you have to choose as a create a new cluster, but if it is a second node, then you have to choose this option, and then you have to select is correct option for drop down. So if it is your second node, then you have to choose this backup load balancer, and if it is your real node server where only the VPN server role you want to install, then you have to choose this third option. We will talk about in some other videos about the architecture, like how this has to be designed so that you can do complete configuration of this cluster, but we will talk about this on some different video. And here, because this is my first node, I will go with new cluster option, and I will choose that this is my first node. So this will be considered as active load balancer, and here I have to provide my IP. So I will go with this 1 1, and then net mask, this is my default net mask that I am going to provide. Okay, and this should be your actually net mask that you have provided here while assigning 10.0.0.0.10 to your server IP. Sure, like I mentioned that these IP should be from same subnet. You have to provide virtual IP net mask, and this will be your interface name where your IP, this IP has been actually mounted. Once it is done, submit it. Okay. So this will basically mount this virtual IP on your HySecure server, and once it is done, we will be jumping on configuration of HySecure cluster settings, where we will define all other things that is basically needed to work, basically needed for HySecure server to work as a cluster. All right. So we have just configured this one. Okay, let us go here and see what is the status. We will refresh page. It can update the status on this screen because it may take some time. We have submitted that IP and it should be mounted. Let's see where we are here on cluster. So this is one very generic situation where you can like you are trying to access this cluster base and it is not working. It is taking much time, and eventually you are looking that why this is not working. So in a general scenario, what you have to do, you have to go on service configuration, gateway state, and make this as a run state. Okay, and just refresh this page. Now your gateway is in run state. You have to now log out and then re-log in to the same IP and select your certificate. Alright, and you are in. Okay, now we will again go on setting, again on cluster, go on configure. Okay, still is not working. In some cases it might work if there is no restriction between your admin device and your server network. If you are on same LAN, this will work seamlessly, but if you are on different network segment and your server is on different network segment, this might not work for you. Okay, alright, then how to fix this particular situation? We have to go on apps. Okay, and here we have to create one application. So we will give this name as a HTTP, and we will say it kind of cluster app. You can give any name based on your choice, but here, because this particular application I'm going to create to get cluster server page access, so I can do configuration, so I'm going to give it name as a cluster app. Keep tunneling type as app tunnel, and here you have to enter server address, and which server address we are talking about. This should be your virtual IP that we just added on this server. So this should be your virtual IP, and port should be 3636. Just do a test connection and see if it is reachable. Yes, it is. And here in our web URL, you have to just put http:// and your virtual IP. So this is your virtual IP colon 3636. This is what you have to add in your web URL. Scroll down to the bottom and submit it. Then go on app group. Create a app group over here because this is for server high availability purpose, or you can say clustering purpose. So you can choose a name that best suit you and you can easily remember. I'm going to make it as a HI group. Make it as a high because we want that this page should be accessible only admin users. And then from the select application, select your application, click on add, submit, and your application is added here and submit it. Alright, so you have created an application, added application inside an application group. Now it is time to assign this application to our user by using which we are logged in. So here in the add option, we are going to create an application and we will provide a name, because this is for HA management. So we will give this name as a kind of a cluster management. We can say cluster management. And then from drop down you have to select your default domain and your native authorization server. Assignment type, make it as a group and make it as high security group, and then select system from here, HI group, that where we have added just now application, and submit it. Alright, once you are done, you have to log out, relaunch application, select your certificate from drop down, enter your credentials, say yes, and you are in your HySecure base. Alright, okay, so let it get load. Okay, and then we will go on setting tab. Again, from setting we are going again on cluster, and in configuration section we have to click. Now whatever application we have created, it has now loaded. Now we are able to see this configuration tab. So here you have to use your virtual IP. This is already visible over here. So let's make it as virtual IP, and mask is your 255.255.255.0. You have to use same mask that you have added during addition of virtual IP. Then your primary load balancer is your actual node IP. So again I am going to refer here. This is your virtual IP that I have added, and this load balancer IP will be your actually node server IP. So this is your actual IP that you assigned to your server, and this is the virtual. So virtual IP will go here and your node IP will go here. So because it is 10.10.0.0.10, so I will go with this one. And like I said, this is your secondary node IP. If you don't have any second node, you can put dummy IP over here. Save this configuration. Alright, and now we are going to add our first server as a VPN server into list. So click on add. You can give it its name as a node 1, something like, and then add your server IP and weight. So this is a relative weight. So if you have multiple servers, these weight will be considered as a relative weight. So if you have two servers, keep as 1 that means it is going to distribute equally load on both nodes. Save this configuration, save it again over here, and reload services so that this HS services can be reloaded. And let's monitor this from your dashboard if HS services has been activated over here. Once HS services will be activated, here in this page you will be able to see node information, which is yet not visible. Another thing that you will be able to see here, node where you are connected. By default it is showing as a run state. Okay, alright, so it has synced, everything has gone in a right way, and now this server has been changed to active. So right now we are connecting to active node. It has got active node IP, and if you look on the bottom, have you got information about nodes? It has yet not synced. Just wait, refresh page and see if it has got the information of your nodes. Alright, we have got information of node as well over here. So our cluster configuration is complete. We are on active node. Cluster information is over here. That's all for this video. We will be coming back with more videos in continuation of this series.